I wish I didn't let other people's opinions affect me, but I do. Here we are. I have seen a lot of people talk about how Severance or certain shows like that, at least, are too slow, and they think it like takes too long to get to where it wants to go, or whatever the hell. Like, people just think it's too much of a slog, or whatever is what they call it. And I just think that is the dumbest fucking thing that I've heard, as far as thinking that TV is meant to be a story told quickly. I think genuinely TV is meant to take its time. It's why we like watching it, because we spend way more time with the characters than we would in a movie, or we get to really have a lot more intimate moments, a lot of detailed situations that you can't get, at least if you do put them in a movie or something else. You don't really have as much freedom to do that, because you're kind of restricted by a runtime in a lot of ways. I just think that TV is meant to be told like that. I think the pacing of it is meant to be taking its time. It's meant to let things drag out for the sake of feeling like we're really there with the characters. That's what I like about television, is that it is way more of a the journey that you feel with characters in any given TV show feels that much more of a dedication. And that's why, like, TV shows are people have very specific things they want to watch, or very specific shows they like, because it is a huge dedication of time. It is a huge commitment. You have no idea how badly I want to watch, like, One Piece or certain anime shows that I don't think I'll ever have fucking time for it. At least not at the moment, you know? So there is, I will always understand that, or be aware of that. But when people talk about shows like Severance, or I've heard people say that about Succession as well, and how it's too slow, it's just kind of like that's all intentional, and that's all why these shows are kind of meant to be watched weekly as well, instead of binging. You binge a whole, I watch Succession week after week, like one episode at a time every week, and I didn't feel how slow it was, but I guarantee I would feel how slow it was if I was trying to like binge the whole season within a few days. So maybe there's something to be said about that, is like, the rate at how quickly you're watching it, or how much you're taking your time. There is something to be said about that as well. But it just annoys the fuck out of me how, people want, I understand, like, of course everyone wants a specific type of pacing, but I like seeing stories, I don't want to say take their time, but I like seeing stories slowly happen, or slowly get into the heart of what it's trying to say, or the main, like, core of what the theme is, or whatever. Like, basically, if you get to certain things in a story, if there are certain beats that you're trying to fill, and there are certain moments that you're wanting to happen, a lot of times if something happens too quickly, it just won't have that same emotional resonance. It won't have that same impact. So that's what's funny about that as well, is like you can't really get those impactful moments without feeling all of the lead up to that, without feeling that journey that is happening until we get to that, climax or something, that big moment. Everyone always wants, like, you get so used to shows like Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad that was very good at having big moments very often, but those shows were just very different, or the type of story that it's telling is completely different than something like Severance or Succession, where it's way more about so much detail in what's happening, really, that every show is just so different in that way. The Wire is another one that people 100% will always think is just way too slow by today's standards, or about like what we're used to seeing nowadays. Again, that's probably one where if you watched it weekly, it would have a completely different feeling for you. But yeah, I where is the balance in that? Where is the balance of something not being rushed, like the last season of Game of Thrones? Because then people were complaining about that shit. But if Game of Thrones was presented as movies instead, would we have that same opinion of it. If it was like, oh, well, it's a movie, it's supposed to be told quickly, would that have affected people's opinion of it instead of them going from 10 episodes each season to 7 to 6? That you can feel like it's either it's too quickly and it's rushed, or it's taking too slow. You can't fucking win with people sometimes, I feel like, or people just are I don't want to say terrible audiences now, but they just don't like have patience, or they don't like let things kind of muster. I love when a story like musters and it's like this slow brew, slow burn kind of thing to it, because you feel that much more weight to these big moments happening. In shows like Succession or Severance, you feel anything big that happens, it feels way more impactful than, you know, how often something like in Game of Thrones in the early seasons even, you know, like every episode there was something like a kind of a holy shit moment at the end of it. And it was so good and so exciting for that reason, but you almost get used to that. You almost become numb to that. By season 5 or 6, we're just kind of used to like, all right, what's going to be the big moment this season, or what's going to be the big thing. But sometimes lead up and sometimes a slow build up, a slow journey is amazing. That's all I'm trying to say with all this. Sometimes a slower, I don't want to say slow, but slower way of telling a story is a lovely thing, and something that I feel like it's so misunderstood, or I think people just don't have that appreciation for it. It's like reading a book as well, though. Like, why are the most impactful stories or the most popular stories hundreds, like, you know, almost 1,000 pages long, or you know, they're not short stories, is what I'm trying to say. Like, all the best books are ones that are meaty and have a lot of stuff in it. You know, that's the thing is what I love about slower forms of storytelling, is that you just get so much more of those intimate moments. That I can't stress that enough, of like how much I like that. I love shows like 6 Feet Under, because you feel like you get to know those characters so much more than any other show, because of how many little moments you spend with them, and how many, like, you feel like you are really spending those 5 years of those characters' lives in real time with them, or you're right there with them. And that's just something that, I don't know. Am I the only one here that likes that shit? Am I the only one who likes slow storytelling? Let me know. Does anybody else kind of get annoyed when people say like, "Oh, it's too slow"? It's just like you have to let shit happen on its own. Like, you have to like let shit just unfold as it wants to, and not expect anything. Just be patient, have no expectations, and just let the filmmakers, let the storytellers do their thing. And don't think about that. I feel like people think about this shit so much when they're watching shows or even movies or whatever. Like, why do people analyze stories so much instead of letting it just happen, and then in hindsight taking all the time you want to analyze it? Like, I only analyze stuff after I've watched it and had like days to think about it. But when I'm in the middle of that, it's like you're not present. When you're not present and just kind of letting things happen as they should, you're only fucking with your own experience, and then you're not gonna really get it. You know, like, I know that sounds so pretentious, like, fucking TV nerd or whatever the fuck, like telling people that, but it really is like, if you don't get like what they're trying to do, then, you know, maybe it's just not for you. Like, the lovely thing is there's all sorts of different types of fucking shows. There's all sorts of different types of things that we can all watch, but all of this shit is meant to be slow. One other show I'll mention is like Money Heist. The first 2 seasons feel like it's nothing but build up for like the finale of season 2, and it was, and even in the moment, even I, as someone who likes slower storytelling, there were moments where I was like, dude, this heist has lasted like fucking forever. I thought this was supposed to be like a few days or whatever. The story feels like it takes a long time, but by the end of season 2, I was like very much invested, and I was like, holy shit, like things are really popping off now, and I ended up really loving the way all of it was presented. But that was because I was trying to be, you know, patient, just trying to be open to whatever they're presenting, you know. So slow stories. TV is meant to be told slow, and it's meant to take its time, I should say. Not slow, but TV can take its time, and it should take its time. Because sometimes when I watch movies, it's so many things happen within like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and that can feel, as much as I love that, as much as I love movies, you know, there's something nice about spending more time with characters and having that dedication to a show or something. Anyway, yeah, let me know if anybody else feels this way. Maybe I'm alone here and I'm just gonna sit over here with whatever the fuck my thoughts are on this. What the hell am I saying? Goodbye.